Cheers everybody, welcome to another music video. Anybody who doesn't know me or my channel, I shall quickly introduce myself. My name is JB. I have a beer channel. Okay, this is a beer channel. What I do is I review beer, and I've been doing it for 10 years, but I do like my music, and now and again I do get the urge to do music videos. Whether they're any good or not, it leaves it open to debate. So, we're going to have a look today at Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath. What can we say about Black Sabbath? Of what they have, as a band, as an influence on a genre of music. I can tell you, this isn't an album ranking video for starters. I haven't got all the Black Sabbath albums. There is a couple of Black Sabbath albums I really, really, really wanted to get, but I haven't seen them about. Hopefully, with this gig, what's going to happen in Birmingham, um, the record companies might reissue the whole back catalogue. Even the Tony Martin years and stuff, the Headless Cross and stuff, or whatever. I need to get hold of it. I'd like to have the whole lot, to be honest, but I haven't got all the Black Sabbath stuff. I've got albums. I'm going to feature a few albums in this which really resonate with me. There's about 3, maybe 4 albums which really do hit home with me. And I'll tell you what the band means to me as well. How I've discovered them. I discovered them, obviously, 99% of us discover music at school, in your teenage years. It was a very exciting time in the 80s when I was at school, especially regarding rock music. There was a lot of it about, not necessarily some of it good, but it kind of like, once you get into something which is quite, get into something which is quite recent, say in the 80s, someone chucks you, I don't know, some sort of Ozzy Osbourne album or whatever, and you listen to it and you get glued to it, and you think to yourself, well, where the hell did this fella come from? Then you start to look where, the band he was in and everything, and you start to look back at his career in general. And that's what I did, really. Went to secondhand shops and that, picked up loads of vinyl, took it home, listened to Ozzy, listened to Dio, and start to go back in their history as singers. And of course, you come across a band like Black Sabbath. When I first discovered Black Sabbath, I was around a mate's house. He had the first album, and to be honest with you, it scared the living shit out of me. The cover of this album, even now, it's the way, the cover of the first Black Sabbath album, it scared the living shit out of me. I never ever seen an album cover like it, to be honest. And it is quite, what I mean? But when you're a very impressionable, 12, 13-year-old, and you see that and you think, fuck me, what's that all about? And it does leave an impression on you, doesn't it? It does. And yeah, he had the original pressing. He had the original pressing of this. He had the Vertigo spiral in the middle of the record. He put it on the stereo, and you can see the circle, and you kind of like glued in at it. And then you hear the thunder, the rain coming, and the first chords strike, and you think, wow, brilliant stuff. I've got a big softness for that record, really. And it was kind of like, I was expecting, when on my first list, I was expecting something really heavy, but for me, there's a lot of blues. There's a lot of blues in that for me. It's very bluesy. Kind of like, it was kind of like slightly heavy and bluesy. Loved it, and oh yeah, I've been playing it ever since. Really, since I was a teenager. You can't beat that first record. Really, it's a very important record in music in general. To be honest, it really is. Um, Definitely. So, I mean, if anybody asks me what's my favourite singer, you know, when Ozzy left Sabbath, they replaced him with Dio, who is a phenomenal singer. For me, I think Dio has got one of the greatest voices in rock history. The voice of Ronnie James Dio is fantastic. Um, I'm really kind of like undecided because I don't think, was it how many albums did Dio do with Sabbath? Was it two or three? Three, wasn't it? Because he did Mob Rules after Heaven and Hell, and of course he went off and he came back. It was a dehumanizer, wasn't it? Something like that. I never got managed to get hold of that one. Um, but the short time he was in Sabbath, he made a massive impact on that band. It really did. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. So, my favourite Ozzy album. We talk about my favourite Ozzy album, and for me, my favourite Ozzy Sabbath album is Sabbath 4. I think this was after I listened to that at my mate's house. I think that was my first Black Sabbath album purchase, and I've had Master Reality. Where's Master Reality? Somewhere here. That I like that one as well. And I did like Fairies Wear Boots. It's one of my favourite songs on Paranoid. But for me, that's my favourite Ozzy album. It comes across as really being absolutely out of their heads. I think the drugs and everything took its toll on that album. But I thought it was brilliant. I'll give you the track listing. You all know what the track listing is. Wheels of Confusion, Tomorrow's Dream, Changes, FX, Supernaut, Snowblind, which is brilliant. Cornucopia, Laguna Sunrise, St. Vitus Dance, Under the Sun. That is brilliant. That for me is solid gold metal from the 70s. That for me had a special, I don't know, it just had a special sound to it and a special set of songs which really rung to me. And for me, it's quite rebellious because some of the songs were about drugs as well. And for me, I was listening it at the time in my youth where I wanted to be rebellious. I wanted to be rebellious. And for me, out of the Ozzy albums, that one really hit home. It's in one of my top 10 albums of all time. It's brilliant, brilliant stuff. So, I didn't get hold of the later Ozzy albums like Technical Ecstasy. I've got it here now, but I didn't get until later on. Because I think for me, at the time of my youth, really, I'll be honest with you, them first four albums, they are the first four albums, I think, aren't they? Gonna get murdered in the comments. Were really brilliant. They are, for me, pretty untouchable, regarding the Ozzy era and Sabbath and music in general for me. Of course, they went on to do Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. It had Rick Wakeman on that. Didn't really ring home with me, and I started to lose interest in Sabotage. That's when, for me, the decline started to come in with the band. So, yeah, them four albums with Ozzy was brilliant, and that is musical history for me. It really is. It's there's very few bands which have got a core set of four untouchable albums. Black Sabbath is one of them. I'm going to be very controversial now. I think the first four Metallica albums are pretty much untouchable as well. Oh, everybody likes a Black album. Not everybody does, because this person don't. Anyway, then we come to this. Now, for me, there's very few bands out there who can change a frontman and really pull it off. The only other band, in my eyes, what changed the frontman and really pulled it off was Van Halen. Um, when David Lee Roth left, he was a character, you know, and I can see parallels in a way because David Lee Roth is a character, you know, a larger than life character. Ozzy Osbourne was a larger than life character. The only difference is that Ozzy Osbourne was completely hammered and wrecked by the time he ended. He was absolutely off his head by the end of um, his tenor. First tenor of Black Sabbath was Wolf. It's gone. David Lee Roth, you know, even though he played the clown, I think his head was screwed on right, but he listened to his management too much, and that's for another story, for another video. In comes in Ronnie James Dio. For me, this is one of my favourite records of all time. For a band to suffer musically for about, well, at least 2 albums before this, you thought they were finished. You know, when you listen to Never Say Die and Technical Ecstasy, it was starting to become a bit of, for me, it started to become a bit of a comedy record, and they lost it for me. But when Ronnie came in, he was off the back of Rainbow, if I remember. I hope I'm getting these facts right because I'm going to get absolutely sorted if I don't. And they did this. Now, this for me is it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I'll give you the track listing: Neon Nights, Children of the Sea, Lady Evil, Heaven and Hell, Wishing Well, Die Young, Walk Away, Lonely is the Word. It's phenomenal. That is brilliant, brilliant stuff. He really brought that band back to where it should have been, you know, at the top of the tree. And looking back now, I'm so, what's the word? I'm not too sure on the circumstances why Ronnie left or broke up with them, but you know, it was a shame it happened, wasn't it? Really. And I think if they stay together, I think Black Sabbath would still be a massive. Well, they are a massive draw now through the, you know, the historical value of the band. But if they, you know, kept going through the 80s with Ronnie, you know, at the helm, they would have been absolutely biggest band of the 80s for sure. Fantastic stuff. And you know, people ask, you know, there's people out there who prefer Ozzy to Dio, and they hate each other, didn't they, Ozzy and Dio? I just love music all in the general, music on the in the whole, and both of these albums for me, they are pretty much that's right. They are pretty much faultless, and they're well worth picking up. For me, them are the two. Them are the two albums that really ring home. But you know, after that, was it Ian Gillan joined Sabbath, did Born Again, didn't they? That's a terrible move from them. But overall, you know, if you want any decent Sabbath albums, for me, they're the best. They're the best. That's my opinion. Closely followed by them there, and after that, I haven't got it. Mob Rules as well. Pick that up. That is a really good Sabbath album. Anyone out there who's never heard of Sabbath, well, where have you been all your life? Yeah, so really good stuff. Yeah, just thought I'd do another music video. I don't know what this music video is about. Black Sabbath. Of course it's about Black Sabbath, but it's not a review. It's just me waffling on about them. Brilliant band. Anyway, they are best band. One of them anyway. See you on my next one. Bib bib.